There we go. My gosh. When I hit go, it takes a long, long time just to switch over. So let me set this up on my screen really quick. I'll just set a short goal. Just give me a moment. If you are watching on the replay, you might want to skip through the first couple of minutes, as I always say. There we go. Start. Skip. Hey, Safaria. Still trying to get my screens on the same wavelength here. Going to all messages, turning off my my phone to do not disturb. Hey, Kelsers. Hey, Charlotte. Kathy Kessels. Bonnie Johnson. I'm seeing some new faces in here, or people who I haven't seen in a while. Carol, welcome in. Yeah, I got to get a lot of people in here. This is not going to be a long one. It's extraordinarily hot in Los Angeles. And I want to be able to turn off my computer and all my lamps because I got, my kitchen lamp on, my LED, my ring lamp, the end table lamp, and that's just too much power running right now for as hot as it is. I want to try to conserve energy here in this horrific pre-September heat wave. I mean, we are just people are sizzling out there in Los Angeles. It's bad. I don't ever remember it being this hot at this time of the year, ever. And I've lived here most of my life. So I'm just I got my Gatorade Zero here. Oh, I forgot my water, but I do have a freshly opened can of Canada Dry zero sugar ginger ale. Carol says, so hot in Orange County, horrific heat here too. You see, that's unusual because Orange County is usually pretty comfortable. Mimi Jones, I got 3 pips in here already. Kelsers, Leanne, and Mimi. And for my pips, if you want to check out the custom emojis, you might notice that YouTube allowed me to unlock emoji number 14 last night because I have 100 members now. Now, apparently I need 25 more to get to the next level, but there is an actual new emoji, which is a surprise. There it is. That is not just a bald eagle, but that is Jackie. Yeah, I really wanted to do a Christmas one or a Thanksgiving one because I might not have another 25 members to add the 15th emoji. But then I realized, you know what? I gotta put Jackie in, and I have to make it different than the YouTube one because YouTube does have an eagle that looks really nice. But I wanted to put in an April Davis PI custom emoji as a memoriam to Jackie. Leanne says, so sorry about the heat. We had really hot weather in June and July. We did too in July, which is super unusual. Never been so hot, so humid, and no AC where I'm staying. Oh no. The house is like a sauna. I've got 3 fans on, drinking water with ice water. Oh my gosh, that's not safe, Carol. You might want to just go out and sit in your car with the AC on or go to a cooling center because it's just not safe. I have central AC here, but it doesn't work when it's hot outside. And I've been here, it'll be 13 years in October in this particular unit. I was supposed to live in this unit 1 or 2 years, and here I am. So I'm going to make this quick. Nancy Guthrie update. Yes. If anybody watches the Boots on the Ground, they probably know who 857 Tucson is. He's one of the YouTubers in Tucson, Arizona. And I got to say kudos to this guy. I don't even know her. Or him. I don't know him like I know DeJuice, but I'm giving him kudos. Yeah. Something happened yesterday. I didn't learn about it till after I got off the air, but I think it's very important that you guys know about it. It's not a long statement here. This is not going to be a long show, but I just wanted to come on the air and let you know this, that while he was out in the field yesterday, actually, I guess in the neighborhood where the police cadet was fatally wounded, he happened to talk to a guy named Joe from Vivint Security. And apparently the security business is booming in Tucson right now between the Nancy Guthrie case and this most recent tragedy that occurred in Tucson. And, well, he had something very interesting to say that just kind of slipped out. And I thought that 857 Tucson might just, pass out in his vehicle or lose all the color in his face because he mentioned that Nancy Guthrie had a daily caregiver. Now, if you've been following this case, and by the way, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited to get into this. I'm April Davis, PI, and I'm in Los Angeles, California, a licensed private investigator. I am not working on the Nancy Guthrie case in any way, but I've been reporting it for 205 days. Yeah. So kudos to 857 Tucson. You might know him as Damien. He had this conversation. The guy was aware that he was being filmed and that Damien was live on YouTube. But he said that Nancy has or had a caregiver. And he didn't say housekeeper, cleaning lady, maid. When I lived in the South, they called it a maid. And if you were a single woman my age and you weren't married, you were an old maid. Then when I moved back to California, everybody called the maid the cleaning lady. Like, she's the cleaning lady. But if you go to like an estate where a celebrity lives, they're the housekeepers. And, Savannah has publicly stated that her sister and her brother-in-law were the caregivers. However, if you're to believe this security guy, Joe from Vivint, he even handed out his phone number, which I didn't write down. But if you see Damien's, video, you can write down the guy's phone number. Please don't call him, because that's probably his work phone. But he did say that he set up a system about a month and a half to 2 months ago for an older woman who lives in Tucson. He didn't state her age, but that she was grandma-ish. Those were his exact words, grandma-ish age. But she was very smart. She's sharp. And he wouldn't name her, and he wouldn't ID the names of people that she may think are involved in this horrific case. But that the caregiver told him that the Nancy Guthrie case wasn't random. Because remember, she knew Nancy and was at her house on a daily basis and knows the family, apparently. And, it wasn't random. Now, I've said that from day one. This wasn't random. Somebody had to have intimate knowledge of that property. I'm just saying, even if the Savannah factor's involved, somebody had to have intimate knowledge of the property. And so, I think Damien was trying to pin the guy down and, he was like, well, like he didn't want to get in trouble. So he didn't name her and he didn't name any suspects. But I think he kind of knew some names that this lady might have thrown out there. And when Damien was asking him a question, he basically answered this, because I had to put it on my Facebook last night, word for word, so I would remember it this morning. And his exact words were, if you read headlines or if you've seen anything, you can kind of put that together. I'll say it again, but I'll give you my take on this. If you read the headlines, like if you're following this case in any way, shape, or form, or if you've seen anything, like, you're not somebody who's living under a rock, or maybe you're a homeless person that has no access to a phone or no friends. If you've read the headlines or you've seen anything, you can kind of put that together. In other words, what I think he's saying is, the obvious is the obvious. Now, the not cleaning lady, not housekeeper, not maid, but caregiver, those were the words, the word that he used, caregiver. Thank you, Kelsa, for the 100. You can kind of put that together. I sure hope that Pima County Sheriffs and the FBI have interviewed this woman. She is entitled to her opinion, but she's in Nancy's house supposedly every day. She would know way more about all of this than any of us here. I knew that I assumed that there was a housekeeper because they said the house was immaculate. And how could an 84-year-old woman who's all jacked up physically keep the house so immaculate? But he used the word caregiver, and that he set up a security system for the caregiver because apparently she, even though she already had a system, she had a system that runs off of Wi-Fi. Because he was saying, well, if you have this company or that company, they just run off of Wi-Fi. But our company, no, it's different, and this is how it works. And it's a little bit more pricier, but this is how it works. And here's my name and my phone number, and and then he didn't have a physical business card because he had a digital card. But then Damien wrote it out on a piece of paper, and he was holding it up, and then the guy looked right into the camera like, yeah, I'm Joe, and my number is 857, blah blah, whatever he says. But I'll read it for the 5th time or 6th time. I can't even remember. I'm so hot from the heat. If you read the headlines or if you've seen anything, you can kind of put that together. What? Okay. What have I missed? Hold on. Time out. Thank you for the hiding, Leanne. Let me go back. Oh, thank you, Charlotte, for putting up that the cold guy, whatever he's called, that emoji, because that would make me feel so much better to have coolness right now. C.I. Carol says, love Jackie, miss her so much. Yeah, I miss her too. Oh, sweet Jackie, says Bonnie. Let's see, let me keep going. Jason, hello. Wisconsin. 72 degrees. Sounds like California, Jason. But just not today. Love your Jackie emoji. Yeah, me too. Linda said hello. Hello, Linda Williams. Didn't Annie provide that? Not that I've heard of, because she hasn't talked to anybody. I wonder if she could be the woman on the 911 call. That's a good question. I didn't think about that. Because remember the rumor that a male called 911 and a woman's voice is heard in the background saying, you said that won't happen. But JLR translated it as, you said that wouldn't happen. And maybe because he had heard that rumor before, maybe he just translated it the way he did, or, he was busy driving. But yeah, you said that won't happen. So yeah, I just read it, Doug. I don't know. That's just kind of like the scale, which is kind of going like this on this case. Like it's this or it's that. It's this or it's that. Kind of just almost tipped over. As far imagine like a scale. It's like ching, 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 and you put things on the scale and it goes left, right, like a teeter-totter. And all of a sudden it just went meow. Like a plane just went meow head first and crashed. Because if you read the headlines or if you've seen anything, you can kind of put that together. Seems like this guy, he got an earful from this lady. And I bless him for not identifying the woman, because that would have been very unprofessional of him had he named her. I'm glad that he didn't name her, but he did say that she lived in Tucson and that she was an older woman. But, this was coming from a younger man. And he said, grandma-ish age, but, very sharp, very smart. And that she was there at the house daily during the daytime, not at night, but daily, caregiving for Nancy Guthrie. So it sounds like she was more than just a domestic cleaning lady, housekeeper, maid, whatever you want to call them, depending on what part of the country you're from. It sounded like she took care of her. Now, did she do some cleaning while she was there? Probably. I don't know. Maybe that was a different person. Maybe there's a lot of people that have come in. And this lady just beefed up her security system. to the kind where, even if the Wi-Fi gets taken out, it'll still work. I wonder why this lady feels like, and this was before the crime of last week happened in Tucson. This was he said about a month and a half, 2 months ago. It was since the Nancy Guthrie disappearance that this lady apparently spent a crap ton of funds, even though I doubt she has her job anymore because there's no Nancy to take care of anymore. That, she upgraded her system to this Vivint security. And the security guy said, yeah, it's kind of a reactive industry. So I guess, if you're a security salesman or a security system like an alarm salesman, or you have a whole system in your house to protect you, they'll even, call you on a iPad that's attached to your wall or whatever. There's something that's like a tablet that's on your wall, and they'll call you like, is everything okay? They'll talk to the burglar or the robber or you, like the homeowner, like, your system went off. Is everything okay? I mean, I don't know what they say, but you don't have to call anybody or get a message on your phone. Like they're speaking through your walls to you. Like, do you need help? 79 people in the house, only 19 thumbs up. Please give me a thumbs up. If you missed the beginning, you can easily go back and play the live stream again, because I'm just going to keep it short today because I want to turn off my computer. I want to turn off all my lights and just have the only thing in my house that's running is the AC and the refrigerator right now. Have I ever met Robert Redford or Warren Beatty? No, I haven't. Kelsa says, if the Pima County Sheriff hasn't talked to her yet, then I'm sorry, the whole Pima County Sheriff's Department needs to be investigated. I'm beginning to think so, because everybody here is innocent until proven guilty. And I'm more interested in the waiters than the chefs. But if you were to believe what this guy said, and you were to read between the lines, that's a pretty incriminating statement, as far as I'm concerned. That somebody who was familiar with the house, knew Nancy, knew the family, would know things that we couldn't possibly know, like, things that were going on in the family and very personal information involving Nancy's life. And she said this definitely was not a random thing. Like, this was specifically targeted. And, it seems like she might have named somebody to the security guy, like what she thought, and he obviously had to keep that private. But his take on it was, if you read the headlines, or if you've seen anything, like, are you living under a rock, people? If you know anything about this case, you can kind of put this together. Or he said, I'll say specifically, if you read headlines or if you've seen anything, you can kind of put that together. Because I think Damien was asking her, like, well, who do who'd she say did it? Or who do you think did it? Or, like, he pretty much knew what was going on just because he talked to this lady when he was setting up her security. Yikes. What the heck is going on in that sheriff's office? No. Weekends off? Who? No, he said daily. Okay, greetings, caretaker was off on the weekend. Don't know. He said that she was there daily. Oh, thank you for the gold coin, Kelsers. Appreciate that. Yeah, so that's the latest, Doug Dillner. That kind of changes things a little bit. I mean, I have my opinions on this, and I've always had my opinions from very early on in this case, especially knowing so much now about her and her house and her life and the systems or lack thereof and that neighborhood. Especially, remember Sandra, or was it Sandra or Sandra? I guess it's Sandra, but she was known as a simple kind of gal. And then she introduced herself as Sandra, and she's a neighbor of Nancy. She lives in the Catalina foothills. She sent me a lot of messages, and she made a lot of comments on videos, and she kind of gave me an idea what the neighborhood is like. And then I became friends with the Juice. And he was like, even with the GPS, you can get lost, like going in and out of that neighborhood. Like, it's a maze, and it's very, very dark. And then I saw the recreation of the crime with JLR, and I think it was Alex with him? Not Alex. I think it was Ted. It's been so long because I don't really follow those guys a whole lot, but I listen to them here and there. I'm busy running my own channel, so I'm not here to promote anybody or diss anybody. But I think that this 857 Tucson, this I think he hit the friggin' jackpot yesterday by complete accident. But, he's been out there every single day. And he wasn't even out there on Nancy. He was, at least not during the moment that this happened. He was out on the other case in Tucson. And, this guy, when he was talking, he was fully aware that this guy was live on YouTube and that he was being recorded. Because he looked like right into the camera, like, hey, like he knew he was being recorded. And he still said this, that he set up a system for the caregiver. And he wasn't talking about Annie and Tommaso. He was talking about an older grandma-ish age female. I mean, I don't know how many of you had heard this before I came on the air, or is this all new to everybody that's here? There's 89 people in the room. Let me know in the chat really quick. Were you aware of this, or were you not aware of this? It's just like, oh, Doug says, I've always been leery of A&T. Okay. You would think A&T would have helped choose that caretaker. Yeah, he didn't say a caretaker, like a caretaker of the property. He said a caregiver. So I thought of her like somebody that's like a medical aide, or, just an old woman that's just kind of like a babysitter during the day, making sure she's okay. Oh, Cheryl says she's never heard this. What are we discussing? Peggy says. Hard to see the guy's picture. It's black and white, but if you go to 857 Tucson, which is Damien, he met a Vivint security guy yesterday out in the field, and supposedly this guy sold a system or set up a system, a security system in Tucson for a woman that he alleged is was a caregiver of Nancy Guthrie on a daily basis. And she knows, the family and Nancy in the house. And she said this was not a random thing. And I think she might have named a suspect or two. But obviously he couldn't ID this woman. He has to keep his client list private. I mean, I can't talk about my client list either. But when he was kind of pushing them, like, hey, my audience is really wanting to know, like, tell me more about being a caregiver, and what do you think? And, well, she thinks that it wasn't random. And, when they asked him, like, well, who did it, kind of in so many words, he was like, if you read the headlines or if you've seen anything, you can kind of put that together. According to this woman that he set up the system for. Yeah. I know. Well, I've always thought there was at least a housekeeper because the house was found immaculate. And, I have a very clean home myself, and I'm very particular. I have been since I was a child, because there were other members of my household that chose to live in filth. One was a future hoarder, I think, and I was very bugged by that as a child. So my room was spotless. And my father and I, every Sunday after church, would help clean up the place because things just weren't normal without going into too much detail in the house that I grew up in. So I'm very routine about cleanliness and organization and no clutter, and everything is organized. To be a detective, you have to be a very organized person. That's why women generally kind of make better detectives than men, because they're more organized than men. The men detectives are like, oh my God, I can't find it on my desk. Everybody come to my office. Help me find things. My desk is always like, it's organized. But as I've gotten older and I've gotten more sicker and I've gone through cancer and heart problems and every day it's just a challenge to stay alive, you know, it takes me longer to do things. Some nights I don't feel like cooking and I'll just order out, which I really can't afford to do, but I'm just like, okay, my energy for the day is gone. Especially if I did a load, like one load of laundry in the back of the building. It's a lot. Um, so to be 84, first of all, I won't even live that long. God forbid. But to be 84 and to be all jacked up, you'd have to have some help. And she didn't have a little, you know, 650 square foot apartment. She has a house that was like, what was it? 4 or 5,000 square foot house, plus a guest house and a swimming pool. She has, I would consider that an estate. In LA, that would be an estate that would be worth millions and billions of dollars. That's a lot of space to take care of for someone who's 84 years old, in declining health, who's on a lot of medication, wearing a pacemaker. So there's got to be people that worked in that house. I don't think I can't imagine Annie over there and Tommaso, cleaning toilets and doing dishes. Bonnie says, I totally agree. I think the sheriff is involved. Does anybody know if he and Nancy were ever involved? Don't know. But, the rumors are is that he's really good friends with Tommaso. Tommaso Tomato, Tommy, Thomas, whatever you want to call him. Even though they're kind of in different age groups, there seemed to be a kinship there. Remember, the sheriff was almost in tears about, the poor family, and, everybody's a suspect. Nobody is cleared. Well, the family is cleared. And then he said that, that Tommaso had dropped her off that night, but then he changed his words again and said she was dropped off by the family or a family member. He kind of backpedaled on that. Well, who was it? Was it Tommaso or was it somebody else? The timeline has changed multiple times. Brian sent the star. Thank you, Brian. I'm learning something about small communities. I just don't believe Nancy made it in her house in 2 minutes. That's a tough one, isn't it, Kelsers? There could be a lot of explanations, especially if a car drove into the garage. But even then, to get out of the car that fast and then the garage door to go down that quickly, I don't know. There's so much sus information and it's contradictory. It's conflicting. One day it's this and the next day it's that. It was Tommaso. Well, it was the family. Was she dropped off in the driveway? Was she dropped off inside the garage? What time was the family notified? What time did they arrive at the house? What time did they call 911? I still want to know what time did they got Savannah involved in this. Donna, my friend. I'm a little confused. No one paid for a cheap subscription for the cameras. Apparently not, Carol. You're saying that the caregiver ordered a subscription for cameras. No one ever talked about a caregiver at all. The caregiver, this alleged caregiver, she set up a security system at her home, which is also in Tucson, a month and a half to 2 months ago. And it was Vivid Security. And the guy's name was Joe. And if you go watch 857 Tucson, you go see this clip, and it's everywhere on the internet right now. You could even call the guy on the phone. Now, I wouldn't suggest that you do that, but he put his cell number out there for call me for a system. Apparently, there's a lot of people in Tucson right now that are either buying security systems or they're upgrading, as this housekeeper a matter of months ago felt that she needed to upgrade her system. Now, this guy could be full of it, but he didn't seem sus. Like, he seemed like I didn't notice anything weird about his body language that he might just be, making this up. Ingrid, welcome in. I thought it took her only a short time to enter the home. Very suspicious. Someone was there waiting. Maybe. No way she got out of the car and in the garage. Yeah, I don't think she could have that quickly. There's so much about this. But they do have a record of the garage door going up and down in 2 minutes. Now, how they got that, I'm not sure. I was surprised that AT&T didn't pay for cameras to be monitored. Well, we don't know that they did or they didn't, or have our own life alert. I've asked questions about that. We don't know what systems might have been inside the house and who was monitoring what. And if she had an alert system, if she had a medical alert or a panic alert or a safe room or monitored recorded videos, we don't know what she did or didn't have. We only know that there was a Nest cam at the front door that disappeared. It was a doorbell cam. And we know there was a camera, at least one on the side of the house and at least one in the back of the house, and a busted security lamp. I was surprised that NET didn't pay for her cameras to be monitored or have her own life alert or have security cameras for an 85-year-old woman with a cane and had a hard time walking. Yeah, we don't know what they did or didn't have, but obviously the police haven't got anything other than, well, it was Google who got Front Porch Guy. But they could have got more going further back had she had a subscription. Martha, hello. No, she wasn't. Hello, Ashcash. Welcome back. Margaret says caregiver equals porch guy or girl. No. If that's what you're asking. This was an older woman that was the caregiver. We're not talking about the daughter or the son-in-law caregivers. We're talking about a separate person. Thank you, Kelsers. Yeah, I do have to make this short today. Remember, I have been given a change in my cardiac meds during my last appointment, and I have to do my follow-up in September. So there's this one medication that they couldn't get that dosage on a daily basis. So they're like, okay, you're going to take the regular prior dosage every other day. So today's the day that I'm on, but then tomorrow's the day that I'm off. So it yings and it yangs and it yings and it yangs. So I can feel like little, like little either pressure changes or arrhythmia changes. And sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm just like, and that appointment's actually coming up pretty soon because it's coming up in September. I have to see what date, but I have other medicals that I have to tend to this week that are pretty mind bending. That I'm like, ugh, I don't want to think about it until I have to go there and do it. Thank you for the treat, Suzanne. So, yeah, and I had to open the door because somebody was banging on the door when I was in the bathroom, and I ran out there. And it was the Amazon man had just left some bunny litter, and it had only been out there for like a minute, if even that, and it was like it felt like it was on fire. I have some more like some cat supplies coming today, like some wet cat food, and I don't want that to be sitting out there because it's flaming. I mean, I should have, you know what? I should have set like an ice cooler out there with drinks in it for the Amazon guy because it's that bad. Hi, Tamara. Welcome in. So yeah, if you missed this, you can always go back on the replay. It's a very short statement that I read, but considering we've done this for 205 days, and this just came out like yesterday evening, I heard about this, and I'm like, this is important. At least in my opinion, this is important, and I hope that they've interviewed this woman. And it makes me wonder, like, how deeply involved is the sheriff's department in this? And what kind of relationships are there between the community and the sheriff and some of the long cast of characters involved in this three-ring circus? Because it sure seems like somebody wants this case to go away. Yeah, they probably have. But I can understand now why Ashley Banfield's sources have said certain things that they have said. And I know people are bashing her lately, but people are going to have a new respect for Ashley Banfield if this all comes out. I'm okay, Jackie. I was just talking about that. What am I talking about? Just join. Oh, we were talking about the Nancy Guthrie case, day number 205. Praying for you, April, health-wise. I know. I wanted to know you're doing it. Oh, okay. Thank you for supporting me. I don't know, Cheryl, about that. I know they could make a mini series out of this debacle. Yeah, they could. EKG is simple. Yeah, good luck with that, Doug. It sucks getting old, doesn't it? But see, I didn't have all these problems. I had some cardiac issues, but I didn't have all these problems till after my treatment. And, quite frankly, I have to be honest with you guys. I'm kind of tired of the whole thing. I mean, I have a will to live, but I want to feel better every day. And then you combine the vertigo with it. Some days I'm just very unsteady on my feet, especially in the evening. I'm just kind of like, ooh, 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 like the Golden Gate Bridge, just swaying in that San Francisco Bay wind, just kind of. That's why I have my cane, not because of bad legs, but it's just generalized weakness, malaise, and, unsteadiness on my feet. Chemo and radiation, it really just messes a person up for life. Who is the guy that we can find him on YouTube? Oh, 857 Tucson. And the person that said it was a Vivint security guy. But you'll have to see it on 857 Tucson's channel. And I can't play it for you. I wouldn't even play the audio because I don't know him. Like, I know DeJuice, and he's like, yeah, use whatever you want. And I'm like, no, I'll just use your audio if it's okay sometimes. But he's like, you don't even have to ask me because he's such a sweetie. But, I'm not going to play this because this is somebody else's YouTube. And, he needs to get the credit. So, go check it out. It happened, I guess it happened yesterday. At least that's when all this came out. I heard about it after I already did my live yesterday. I've had thousands of EKGs. It's just another one. Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it, Doug? I'm so tired of the stickers all over my body. Yeah, he's wonderful, Mimi. He's a good guy. I like him. Alexandra, welcome in. Yeah, I'm just kind of like, yeah. And, even though they have controlled my AFib with 2 surgeries and medication, I still have irregular beats. And so that causes the heart to just, every now and then, I just go, whoop, and I think, oh, my blood pressure either just tanked or I just had one of those arrhythmia moments. And sometimes I have them multiple times per show, and some days I don't have them at all. And it doesn't really matter if, this was the day that I had to take that extra arrhythmia pill or it was the day that I didn't have to take it. It's still just like, ooh, ooh. And they have to try to wean you off of that because that can kill you, that medication. So, and I've been on it off and on since 2023, which is really bad. But I'm on a very super small dosage now. But at any moment, things could just go, and they would be like, oh, well, you just have to have another surgery and wait 6 months and, try to live until we can get to you. There's not enough electrophysiologists, cardiologists in the world. And eventually, you know what? They just can't fix it anymore. And, then that puts you into heart failure and you don't have much time left. So many people that are older than me who have spouses that have been through this or they've been through this are like, April, you're way too young for all this. And I'm like, well, have you ever treated for stage 3 cancer? Like, that's probably why. Carol says, I felt that too, April. The sheriff wants this to go away. You excused all family really quick, not want the FBI involved and not stay on this. Seems like something is fishy. He is good friends with Tommaso. That's what I'm hearing. Can't prove that he's good friends with him, but I've heard that rumor. Susan, welcome in. Yeah, I don't think people realize how many people age out. Oh, I just want to, I just want to feel better every day and be able to take care of my little fur babies. That's, my whole reason for living. But it's really nice coming in here and meeting all you guys and becoming friends with everybody and having you guys be either my pips or my peps. And speaking of my pips, I'm up to 100 members today. 100 on the dot. Yep. And that allowed me for the 14th custom emoji last night. It's up and running. Go check her out. Little Miss Jackie. Had to put her up. Yeah, most of it is daily and twice a day, Carol, but there's this one pill that they wanted to go from 100 to 50 and they don't make it in the 50 anymore. So they're just like, do the 100 every other day. And I don't like it. And it can't split because they changed manufacturers. So when you try to split it, it crumbles and you don't know what dose you're getting. Yeah. Well, I survived the breast cancer, Carol, but I'm beginning to wonder if I'm going to survive the side effects because my case was quite advanced. Had I caught it sooner, I probably wouldn't be in this position right now. But we're going to be positive here. This is not a downer. Congrats on 100 members. Yeah, thank you, Gelsers. Thank you, everybody. I have you on my own prayer chains, Miss April. Thank you, Pauline. Thank you for the 100. Thank you, Carol. I love everybody here. But, there may be some days that, I'm at a doctor's appointment or I'm in the hospital or I'm having a procedure or I'm just not feeling well and I just won't be able to come on those days. But, don't worry about me. I'm still here. I'm still with you guys. And I never plan on giving up on, the whereabouts of Nancy Guthrie because hashtag justice for Nancy. Peggy said her mom, grandma, and sister all had breast cancer. Oh, now a lot of cancer in my family, but no breast cancer except for me. Thank you, Pauline. I wish we all lived closer. We could help each other out. Give people rides to like appointments or procedures, or especially if you have to have anesthesia and you need a particular ride home because they're like, oh, you can't take an Uber or a Lyft because you're going to be out of your mind, and you need someone to be able to get you out of the car and walk you into your house. And but thank you. Thank you, Peggy. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I think I'd feel a lot better if it just wasn't so darn hot outside too. It's hard to even eat. Now, later in the day, I start to hydrate more and I start to eat more, and then, it kind of peps me up. And there's also the possibility that all these procedures of medication, that it's actually working and that I'm actually getting better. And therefore, over time, they have to lower the dose. But some of these pills are really wicked. They can't just cut you off in one day or you'll be dead. Like they have to slowly wean it out of the body. Because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of going to the pharmacy. I'm tired of standing in the line. I'm tired of trying to fight for a parking space and then take my cane and walk all the way to the back and have to sometimes sit down. And it's like, can you hold my place in the line? Because I have to sit down. And, it's just such BS. And then they're like, oh, we can deliver this to you. And then they're like, oh, for some reason it won't set up in the system that way and you'll have to pick it up. Stress is not good for AFib, no. I have a friend, a close friend, that lives with it on a daily basis, but hers obviously isn't the same type that I have. She's able to live with it with medication, but When I get my attacks, they're like really bad, and I end up in an ambulance quick. And I hate ambulances. Ugh, I hate hospitals. I hate doctors. I hate the whole system. You know, it's really a miracle that I'm still here to even talk to you guys. They have deliveries, maybe change pharmacies. It's the whole system is so complicated. You know, one pharmacy will have this, the other pharmacy won't have that. And it's just like I like to keep it all in like just one location. I can't answer that question on YouTube, Peggy. But yeah, it's getting harder. So just picture Nancy at 84. She just turned 84, like days before this happened to her. I'm not really surprised now that I'm hearing this that she may have had a daily caregiver. I don't think this guy was just blowing smoke out his butt. You know, he seemed to be a truthful person. I mean, I could be wrong. Remember, I'm not investigating any of these people, but it's people across the internet. Most people are believing this guy when he said that there was a caregiver. And he didn't say housekeeper, maid, cleaning lady. He said caregiver, daily, but during the daytime, not at night. And she thinks this wasn't random. And if you didn't hear it at the beginning, I'll say it again. I kind of put this out on my Facebook. I said, well, this is kind of interesting. He says the caregiver states that Nancy Guthrie case wasn't random. Yeah, I told you. He wouldn't name the caregiver or ID the names involved, but basically said if you read the headlines or if you've seen anything, you can kind of put that together. You think? Okay, that's it. If you want to go see what he said live, just go over to, or recorded live, go to 857 Tucson and look it up. I guess it must have been in yesterday's show. There's all kinds of clips on it on the internet. If you follow, like, you know, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you can find it. Sleuth Intuition found porch guy today, maybe. That's interesting. Santiago Rogers, the shooter, arrested. Not sure if you saw the prior post. You know what? Doug, I'm just going to try to move on from that for now. Yeah, they said they can't get it. They can't be done that way. So, and if they hadn't changed manufacturers on that medication, it would have split perfectly even with the pill splitter. But they changed manufacturers, and it's a real soft, crumbly pill now, and it doesn't split, and so they can't order it in the 50s. So they're giving me 100 every other day, and I hate that because I have to look on my phone and look at my notes, like, okay, is today the day? Is today not the day? And I got to be, you know, when I'm tired, when I wake up, I just like, okay, I got to, like, you know, drink some water for a minute and like just get my head together so I make sure that I don't make a mistake. And it's a pain. It would be so much easier just to be able to take the 50 every day. And I'll talk to the doctor about it again when I see him, like, you know, this 100 every other day crap is not working for me. Because some days I feel okay and some days I don't. And then he'll say, well, do you feel better on the days that you take it, or do you feel better on the days that you don't? And it can go either way. I got to take you out. Time out, 24 hours. See you tomorrow, Waffles. But thank you, Doug. I appreciate everybody who's trying to, you know, put in their 2 cents to help me out. Yeah. Too bad I don't play the lottery, because then I could actually afford a caregiver. And my life would be so much easier right now. Just knew the compound really helped me. Yeah, I'll have to ask. It's just, I know we're all struggling with something here because, you know, most of my audience are people 65 and older. And I'm younger than that. I'm not in that demographic, which is really amazing that I've reached that many people. Hello, Sweden. Frederick. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go off the air, Fred. But you can always watch this on the replay. Thank you for the, I got 20 cents in jewels today, everybody. Yeah, I made 20 cents during this live. For real. But I thought this was important because I want to keep this case relevant, and we've been following it this long, and I thought this was important that we talk about this because not everybody follows everybody and hears everything, and we're all in this together, providing information and getting the word out there. Doug says you're 45. Oh wow, that's a lot younger than me. Frederick is 49. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go out. Pauline says 80 plus. Wow, congratulations. Sweden, that's so cool. I bet the weather's better there than it is here. Thank you, Lori Smith, for the thumbs up. Thank you so much. Yeah, now we're up to 25 cents today. JD1 or JD12310. Hello. 50 on August 13th. Wow. I feel so old now. But I'm not in the 65 plus age group, and that is the majority of my demographics. Mostly older people, which is interesting. So I guess, the younger people, the younger crowd, they probably think this is all boring. You'd have to live over 103 to beat your grandpa's age. Oh, wow. Oh, Christy, yeah, you'll have to watch on the replay. Do you think Nancy is alive? No, I don't. I'm sorry, Deborah, I don't think so. Frederick. I guess at some point I'll just have to say, I'm at 59 or something for the rest of my life. I don't know. They say it's not how you look, it's how you feel. But sadly, I feel like I'm 80. And I'm not anywhere near there. Hey, Jane Rice. Well, everybody, thank you for coming. I hate to leave when there's like 67 people in the room, but there's only so many times I can say the same little 2 lines over and over and over again. If you missed it, go back on the replay. Leave me a comment underneath the video on the replay. If you want to see the chat replay, you'll have to wait until tomorrow until, YouTube processes it and they check it before they can re-upload it. But yeah, pray for cooler weather, everybody. And thank you for coming in and watching my videos and supporting my YouTube channel. I really appreciate you guys. But I'm signing off for today. Thanks.